Welcome to this new Football Manager 2018 World Cup experiment, where we're going to be looking at a World Cup consisting of landlocked nations. Thank you to everyone that suggested this as an option for an experiment. There actually has been a few of you that suggested this in the last few experiments. I hope you guys enjoy it. So in preparation for this experiment, I did a bit of research into landlocked countries using my old friend Wikipedia just to clarify a few things. There's a list of landlocked nations here. Now there's a few discrepancies. There's a few things which perhaps are a little bit controversial surrounding the Caspian Sea in particular. If I just show you the Caspian Sea using Google Maps, you'll see that it's basically a landlocked giant lake. So nations like Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan are regarded as landlocked even though they are bordering the Caspian Sea. I suppose it kind of makes sense because the Caspian Sea, there's not really any connection to any oceans, and I think that's probably the definition of a landlocked nation. You know, they're not connected to an ocean, whereas you could argue Romania is landlocked because they only border the Black Sea, but the Black Sea has a connection point all the way through to the Mediterranean, which in turn connects to the Atlantic. So there's a few controversies, I suppose, surrounding landlocked nations, but I've gone on this list, so it does include the likes of Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan. And then what I have done is I've used the FIFA World Rankings website once again to have a look at the 32 best ranked nations out of all those nations on the landlocked list, and I've come up with this list. So Switzerland's the obvious best ranked nation. They're actually sixth in the latest world rankings done on the 7th of June. But we've also got the likes of Austria in there, Serbia, Czech Republic, who've done quite well on a couple of my previous experiments recently. All the way down to Afghanistan, who are 145th in the world rankings. Now, before we get on with today's experiment, we need to do the World Cup draw. The 2018 World Cup draw, groups A to H, and I'm going to use the random letter generator again, and I'll go down the list. We've got 8 first seeds, 8 second seeds, etc, etc. I'm not going to abide to any of the rules because there's a lot of African nations in here. There's quite a few European. We don't have any North American. A few Asian nations in there, for example Uzbekistan. Let's get underway with this then. So Switzerland are going to go into Group F. They're in the second half of the draw. And Austria also going into the second half of the draw. They won't meet in the second round though. Group C will have Slovakia in it. Group F we've already had, so we'll move on to Group A, which will be Paraguay. And then E will be Serbia. Czech Republic, who I fancy to do quite well, are going to go into Group, once it's finally come up with a fresh one, Group H. So Czech Republic might face Austria in the second round. And Group B will consist of Hungary. And the last first seed, Burkina Faso, go into Group D. So onto the second seeds. Group G, Austria's group, will have Bolivia in it, the other South American landlocked nation. Group H will have Mali in it. Macedonia are going to go into Group D. I've had a few people complaining to me about Macedonia and the actual name for Macedonia, but I'm not going to get political. Group H we've already had. Group A will have Zambia in it. Group B, Belarus, B for Belarus. And then Uganda are going to go into Group F with Switzerland, and Luxembourg will go into Group C. And lastly, of course, we've got one more to go. Kyrgyzstan, the last second seed, are going to go into Group E. So first up is Uzbekistan for the third seed, and that's going to be Group H. And then Group F will have Armenia in it. So Armenia and Switzerland, 2 UEFA nations going into there. Group B will have Niger, another African nation coming out the hat. And Azerbaijan will go into Group G with Austria and Bolivia. Group D will have Central African Republic in it. We've not seen them in any of my experiments so far. Kazakhstan will go into Group C. And then Group A will have Zimbabwe in it. And the last group, Group E, will have Tajikistan. So moving on to the last seeds, the fourth seed, we've got Malawi coming out first, who will go into Group G. And then Andorra will pop into Group D. Group C will have Turkmenistan. Swaziland are next, and they're going to go into Group B with fellow Africans Niger. Group A will have Rwanda, small African landlocked nation, and we've got 3 more groups to decide. Group F will have Botswana. Kosovo will go into Group E, which means Afghanistan will go into Group H. Interesting groups. I mean, they're all interesting groups, really, aren't they? Who do you fancy to go on to win this? Surely Switzerland and Austria and Serbia will be winning all of these, but we might have a shock. You never know. And Czech Republic, of course. But there's a few nations. I mean, Slovakia could do well. I don't know, out of the Paraguay and Bolivia, I suppose, from the non-European nation, you've got to fancy Paraguay to go on and win it, haven't you? Right then, I'll pop these into Football Manager 2018 and we'll get underway. So here we have the Landlocked World Cup. Quite a random idea, I know, but hopefully it'll be a little bit interesting. And the first nation to win it is Slovakia, who beat Austria 1-0 in the final thanks to a 6-minute goal from David De Petris. For whatever reason, Arnautovic started on the bench, which seems a bit strange. It's probably because he was injured, actually. So that's why. So if he was on the pitch, maybe it would have been a different story in the final. Let's have a look then to see how Slovakia went on to win it. You can see in Group A, Paraguay and Zimbabwe went through. I think Paraguay are probably likely to go through from that group every time, and then we're going to have... I'd have expected Zambia to get through, if I'm honest. Hungary and Belarus from Group B, the two African nations missing out. Slovakia topped Group C, comfortably winning all three games. They beat... Well, not quite so comfortably against Kazakhstan. 5-4 win. Luxembourg won 2-1. They beat Luxembourg 2-1 and Turkmenistan 3-0. So yeah, that's a fantastic game against Kazakhstan. Burkina Faso and the Central African Republic went through from Group D, so the two African teams going through from there, ahead of Macedonia and Andorra, who conceded 10 goals without scoring. Serbia and Kosovo went through from Group E, with Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan missing out. Switzerland topped Group F, but they did draw against Armenia, who went through in second place. And then Austria easily breezed to top spot in Group G, beating Azerbaijan, Malawi and Bolivia. They beat Bolivia 4-0, despite Bolivia finishing second. And lastly, Mali and Czech Republic went through from Group H. Afghanistan conceded 12 goals, 4 against each of the nations, without managing to score a single goal. In the second round then, this is where Austria managed to get through against Czech Republic on penalties. Very tight affair. I thought Czech Republic would be able to go all the way, but they've missed out on penalties here. Serbia won 5-0, as you can see there. Slovakia beat Central African Republic 2-0 to go through to the quarter-final stages, where we saw them beat Hungary in extra time, only just about, as you can see. 3-1, sorry. Yeah, they scored 2 goals in extra time to go through to the semi-final. Serbia beat Mali 2-1 after extra time, and Austria squeezed past Switzerland. That is a real rivalry there, isn't it? I thought Switzerland would probably be the most likely team to win this competition, but they didn't manage to do so at the first attempt. Austria took extra time to defeat Belarus 2-0. 2 red cards for Belarus as well. And Slovakia scraped past Serbia on penalties to get through to the final. In the third place playoff, we saw Serbia thrash Belarus, but only after extra time. Milinkovic-Savic scored 4 goals in extra time alone, and he came off the bench. He didn't even start for some reason. He came on and scored 4 goals in extra time. That is incredible performance from him. And then, of course, in the final, Slovakia managed to squeeze the win 1-0. This chap managed to pick up the Best Player award of the tournament with an 8.24 average rating, 6 goals, 5 assists. What a performance from him. Golden Boot, though, did go to De Petris, who got the 7 goals. He got 1 in the final, remember, and he also got an assist. Just ahead of Milinkovic-Savic, those 4 goals boosted his score, of course. Best goalkeeper went to the Slovakian goalkeeper, who picked up 4 clean sheets in the tournament. Best young player went to the Swiss player, Nico Elvedi, who plays for Gladbach. Dream team, lots of Serbians, Austrians, 3 Slovakians in there, dominated by those 3 nations. And the goal of the tournament scored by an Austrian against Malawi. Let's have a look at this goal, scored by Grigoric. I think it was Grigoric from long range. Here we go then. Into the path of him, and he slammed it into the top right hand corner like a whistle. Wonderful goal. Let's move on to the second simulation then. I've got to say, I'm going to do 5 simulations in today's experiment. So the second simulation was won by Serbia, beating Slovakia, the winners of the last simulation, 3-1 in the final. Mitrovic with 2 goals, Milinkovic-Savic with the other, Vladimir Weiss, managed to get a goal for Slovakia as well. But Serbia were too strong in Luzhniki, Moscow this time around. Mitrovic ended up being top goal scorer as well. Great performances from him by the looks of it. Let's see how Serbia's journey occurred then. So Paraguay went through top of the group once again, as you would expect, but Rwanda this time went through instead of Zimbabwe. Niger and Swaziland, wow, this is incredible. Complete topsy-turvy stuff in Group B, with Niger and Swaziland failing to qualify last time, but going through this time. That is an incredible achievement. Kazakhstan topped Group C. Brilliant stuff from them, ahead of Slovakia, who went on to finish second, of course. Central African Republic managed to win Group D. 3 teams ended up with 6 points, but Macedonia finished just ahead of Burkina Faso, their goal difference letting them down in the end. Andorra did manage to score a goal against Burkina Faso, but they conceded 5 against Central African Republic, 4 against Macedonia and 4 against Burkina Faso. Serbia, the eventual winners, won all 3 games in Group E. Kosovo went through with them once again. Excellent stuff from Kosovo, very new nation of course. Switzerland won Group F, as you would predict, winning all 3 games quite comfortably. Armenia once again went through with them. Austria topped Group G, winning all 3 games. Azerbaijan, the nation to go through with Austria this time around. And Czech Republic topped Group H, with Mali following in second place. So in this second round, how did Serbia get on? They thrashed Armenia 5-1. Excellent start to the knockout rounds for Serbia. Macedonia beat Kazakhstan on penalties. Rwanda, an all-African second round match here. 2 sort of lesser known African nations really, and Rwanda get the win to go through to the quarter-finals of the World Cup. What a story. Paraguay did comfortably dispose of Swaziland though with a 3-0 win. Mali beat Austria 4-1. That is an exceptional win from Mali, I must say. And Switzerland beat Kosovo 3-0. And Slovakia, the eventual finalists, only just about scraped past Central African Republic on penalties. In the quarterfinals, we saw Slovakia beat Paraguay on penalties to only just about get through to the semi-finals. Once again, 2 0-0 draws, 2 penalty wins. I wouldn't say they quite deserved to be in the semi-finals on those performances, but they've done the job. Macedonia disposed of Rwanda. The magical journey for Rwanda ends, unfortunately, at the quarter-final stage at the hands of Macedonia. Serbia defeated Czech Republic 3-2 in a great game, and they even went down to 10 men late on in this match. And lastly, Mali. What a win against Switzerland. Mali doing really well, actually. They are a good African nation. They've got some good footballers. Semi-final, Slovakia just about got past Mali again. This time, extra time, 122nd minute, and it was a penalty. Penalties have got them through to the final through all of these knockout rounds, although this obviously didn't go down to the penalty shootout, but it was a penalty that put them through in the 122nd minute. But Serbia, what a win against Macedonia. 5-1, Mitrovic with a hat-trick to send his nation through to the final. They scored plenty of goals in this tournament. Mali defeated Macedonia in the 3rd place playoff, and Dama Nian with the 2 goals. Yeah, Serbia scored so many goals. They deserved to win this tournament. Zivkovic picked up the best player of the tournament award, the 22-year-old right winger. Excellent player. Serbia have some really good players. I imagine they'll win surely a couple of simulations at least in this experiment. Matic picked up the runner-up award, by the way, and Bakary Sako 3rd. Golden boot did go to Mitrovic, 9 goals, 2 assists. Nestorovsky, the Macedonian, 2nd place, and Nian 3rd. Best goalkeeper was the Slovakian goalkeeper, Kozacic, something like that. Sorry, you know what I'm like with pronunciations. The best young player, though, Kazakhstani, Vladislav Kozdub. Wow, what a story for him, picking up the best young player award. Dream team. This is the squad that was selected. And the goal of the tournament went to the Malawian, Wadabra. Great name, Peter Wadabra, for Malawi against Bolivia, who have really underperformed. I thought they'd do okay. But maybe I'm just overestimating them because they're a South American nation. Perhaps they're not very good at all. But let's have a look at the goal of the tournament. I think it's going to be a good goal. That's an awful goal. That is dreadful. It took like 2 deflections, then the keeper spilled it into the back of the net. How has the game decided that is the goal of the tournament? That is just ridiculous. Let's have a look at the second one, because that just doesn't deserve to be goal of the tournament at all. What an awful, awful goal. Ah, dear, Football Manager. Obviously didn't seem to register that there were basically 2 deflections and the goalkeeper should have kept it out anyway. That's a much better goal. Clean strike into the top left-hand corner. So it's now 2 each between Serbia and Slovakia. They've both won 2 World Cups. This time Serbia beat Austria in the final on penalties. So Austria have lost 2 finals now. One against Slovakia, one against Serbia. they've been a little bit unfortunate. This one went down to penalty shootout as well. Arnautovic had a dreadful game with a 5.0. What on earth? He must have missed a few glorious opportunities for them. But he then did end up winning the Golden Boot despite that final performance, and he won the Most Man of the Match award. So he's a little bit unfortunate that he just completely bottled it in the final. But that's what separates the best from the very best, I guess. Zimbabwe topped Group A ahead of Paraguay, who also went through this time around. Hungary and Niger went through. Well done to Niger. Loving it. Loving that these smaller nations are getting through. Luxembourg actually finished ahead of Slovakia in Group C. What an amazing achievement for Luxembourg. They beat Turkmenistan 5-1. Turkmenistan conceded 11 goals once again. Burkina Faso and Macedonia went through from Group D. Central African Republic, very unlucky. It was down to goals scored, and Macedonia scored one more than them to go through. Andorra have been pretty pathetic, haven't they? Maybe we're not surprised by that, let's be honest. Conceded 13 goals in this tournament. Serbia, the eventual winners, finished ahead of Kosovo this time around. Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan just haven't really done anything, have they, in this experiment? Armenia finished top of Group F, finishing ahead of Switzerland, who struggled. They actually lost against Armenia 4-3 in an absolute belter of a game. Austria topped Group G on their way to the final, with Azerbaijan going through with them. And Mali and Uzbekistan finished ahead of Czech Republic after they beat Afghanistan 6-1 and went through quite clearly on goal difference. What an achievement from Uzbekistan to finish ahead of Czech Republic. And then in the second round, wow, what a brilliant clash between two African nations. Zimbabwe 3, Niger 3. Zimbabwe down to 10 men. Niger missed a penalty that could have won them the game, and it went to penalty shootout, where Zimbabwe managed to get the win just about. Paraguay beat Hungary 3-0, comfortable win for Paraguay. We've not seen much from them, have we? Which I'm a bit surprised by. Macedonia disposed of Luxembourg 2-1, missed penalty from Luxembourg as well. Slovakia needed extra time to get past Burkina Faso in the second round. Serbia needed penalties to get past Switzerland, but obviously a very tough group knockout round for them. These two seem to face off against each other quite a lot at this stage, and it's resulting in one or the other going on to the final, really. Kosovo and Armenia took each other on in the second round. Kosovo came out on top. We saw Austria beat Uzbekistan 2-0 to end Uzbekistan's dreams, and Mali beat Azerbaijan. In the quarterfinals, Slovakia beat Zimbabwe. It wasn't pretty. It took only 2-1 against the African nation. Paraguay beat Macedonia 2-1. And Serbia needed penalties to get past Mali. The African nations are putting up a fight. They're just not quite being able to go all the way. It would be nice to see them go all the way, but it's just not quite good enough from them, is it? And what a game this is. Austria 6, Kosovo 0. Arnautovic with a hat-trick. But poor old Kosovo conceding 6 goals in 90 minutes there. Semi-finals then. Austria beat Slovakia 2-0 to reach the final. Slovakia were down to 10 men just after half-time. And Serbia defeated the South American nation Paraguay. This is the furthest they've managed to get. In fact, it's the furthest any South American teams managed to get. We saw Mali finish third, of course. So I'm being a bit disrespectful there to Mali, because they have done quite well. They have finished third. So they've been representing Africa very well, I must say, and they got to the quarterfinals of this tournament as well. Third place was won by Paraguay, who beat Slovakia on penalties. We've seen a lot of penalty shootouts, I must say, in this experiment, more than others, I think. And the final, of course, was won by on penalties as well. The awards then, Arnautovic did win the Best Player of the Tournament award, even though he completely flopped in the final. Milinkovic-Savic of Serbia finished second with Hamšík. I forgot about Hamšík, to be honest. I'd not really noticed him yet. Of course he plays for Slovakia. That's could be why they're doing so well, but he's not really featured on these lists yet, despite the fact Slovakia have won 2 World Cups. Golden Boot did go to Arnautovic with those 7 goals and 2 assists. Best goalkeeper, Stankovic for Austria, the 25-year-old goalkeeper. Best young player, Bandé. We've seen him feature in some of my other experiments. The Burkina Faso winger picking up the Best Young Player award. Dream Team, here we go. And lastly, goal of the tournament, won by Alioski. He plays for Leeds, doesn't he? Or he did. Does he still play for? I think he still plays for Leeds. And he's managed to grab the goal of the tournament award, scoring against Luxembourg. Let's have a look at this. It's the edge of the box corner routine, isn't it? Boom! Great strike. One more simulation to go then. So Serbia have won the 5th simulation, which means they've won 3 to Slovakia's 2. They win the title of Best Landlocked Nation. They beat Switzerland in the final after extra time. So Switzerland and Austria both lost 2 finals each. Bit disappointing from them really in the end. Weren't quite good enough to beat Serbia and Slovakia. Ivanovic was sent off in the 116th minute, and then Lajic 2 minutes later scored the winner. So they had the opportunity really to win it, but they couldn't score basically. Let's have a look at this last World Cup to see how it went down. Paraguay, once again, through from Group A. 4 out of 5 times they managed that. Belarus and Hungary from Group B. Niger miss out this time around. Slovakia scored 10 goals to seal top spot, 9 points. Luxembourg went through with them. Burkina Faso and Macedonia went through from Group D. Serbia, the eventual winners, finished ahead of Kosovo to go through from Group E. Switzerland won all 3 games, with Botswana going through from Group F. I don't think we've seen them go through before. Austria and Bolivia went through from Group G. Austria only managed to get 5 points, and Mali and Uzbekistan once again finishing ahead of Czech Republic to go through to the second round, where we saw Serbia defeat Botswana 3-0. Comfortable win for them on the way to the final. The African nations, Mali have done very well actually. They beat Bolivia 4-0. Excellent win. But on the whole, maybe a little bit disappointing. Mali did finish 3rd once though, so I think that's impressive. There's some strong European nations here though, to be fair, and we don't have the strongest African nations here. Most of the landlocked nations aren't in the top bracket of African football. Switzerland beat Kosovo 3-0, comfortable win. Slovakia won on penalties. In the quarterfinals, Burkina Faso, so an African nation, beat Paraguay, a South American nation. I think Paraguay have been disappointing on the whole, and because they finished 3rd in the last simulation, didn't they? And Zimbabwe, so the African nation's doing remarkably well in this simulation. They defeated Slovakia 4-1. What a win for Zimbabwe. That is exceptional stuff to reach the semi-final. That's probably the biggest surprise yet, actually. On the game, they're 112th in the world rankings. I can't quite remember where they are in real life, but they're around that mark. Serbia beat Mali 3-1, so this African nation, Mali, couldn't quite get through to the semi-final. They finished 3rd once, and they've reached the quarterfinals a couple other times. Switzerland defeated Austria, and Arnautovic sent off, another player sent off. Switzerland missed a penalty, but they were strong enough to get through to the semi-finals, where the 2 African nations couldn't quite beat the European nations. Switzerland beat Burkina Faso. Murdering that. Switzerland beat Burkina Faso 3-1. There we go. Shaqiri, Xhaka and Lichtsteiner with the goals. And Serbia beat Zimbabwe 2-1. Lots of late goals in that one. Lajic and Zivkovic, with Nadoro getting a consolation goal and then giving them a bit of hope towards the end of that match. What a brilliant achievement for Zimbabwe though. The 3rd place playoff actually went to them. They beat Burkina Faso 2-0. What a win for Zimbabwe. Nakambu with man of the match and a goal. And then, of course, the final won by Serbia in extra time. But yeah, there were some big shocks in this particular World Cup, wasn't there? Lajic picked up the Best Player award of 10 goals. Also picked up the Golden Boot as a result, as you can see there. What a brilliant tournament from him. He's a really good player, to be fair. Moving on to Best Goalkeeper, won by Jan Sommer, the Swiss goalkeeper. 3 clean sheets. Best Young Player, Zakaria, the Swiss 21-year-old defensive midfielder. Dream Team, lots of Swiss and Serbian players in there, but we've got the Zimbabwe striker Tendai Ndoro up there, who managed to get 4 goals in this tournament. And lastly, goal of the tournament, won by a Macedonian, Bardi, against Central African Republic. Let's end on this then to see what this goal was like. Hopefully a little bit better than some previous ones. Let's see, Popov with the throw in into Ademi, into Bardi. He slammed it, great strike, into the back of the net past the Central African Republic goalkeeper. So these are the 5 results of the Landlocked World Cup. Then Serbia winning 3, Slovakia winning the other 2. Not a huge amount of variety, but there were some interesting results. We saw Mali finish 3rd, Paraguay finished 3rd, Zimbabwe finished 3rd, with Burkina Faso finishing 4th. Macedonia finished 4th twice. Austria and Switzerland just weren't quite close enough, weren't quite good enough to beating Slovakia and Serbia. If I was to simulate this quite a few times, I reckon we could eventually see an African winner, because Zimbabwe, really unlucky not to actually get through to the final, did so well in this tournament. Slovakians and Serbians dominated the personal awards as well. Lajic with picked up 2 Best Player awards and a Golden Boot, 10 goals. Extraordinary stuff from him. But anyway, thank you for watching today's experiment. I hope you enjoyed it. Something a little bit different. Bit of a random concept, I know, the Landlocked World Cup, but I found it fun. I thought it was really interesting, the results. Please leave a like on this video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well, please. That'd be very much appreciated. But until next time, enjoy FM18, enjoy the World Cup. I'll see you very soon.